Across the globe, from the shadowy depths of ancient caves to the windswept cliffs of remote landscapes, prehistoric art continues to unveil the profound ingenuity of our earliest ancestors. These discoveries, etched in stone, painted with pigments of earth and carved into portable relics, offer far more than glimpses of a distant past. They are vibrant testaments to the creativity, spirituality, and intellectual complexity of early humans and their Neanderthal cousins, challenging every assumption we hold about the dawn of humanity. Each new find, whether a delicate handprint or a sprawling mural of galloping beasts, opens a portal into the minds of those who lived tens of thousands of years ago, revealing their dreams, fears, rituals, and their unbreakable bond with the natural world. In Indonesia's Sulawesi Island, a cave painting uncovered in recent years has reshaped our understanding of early artistic expression. This artwork, potentially the oldest known example of visual storytelling, depicts a vivid hunting scene. Human-like figures, rendered with striking clarity, pursue native animals across the rock face. The scene is not a mere snapshot of survival, but a narrative frozen in time, rich with emotion and intent. The figures, some wielding rudimentary tools, others poised in dynamic stances, seem to play roles in a larger drama, suggesting that early humans possessed a sophisticated grasp of plot, symbolism, and perhaps even mythology. The animals, wild pigs and dwarf buffalo, aren't just prey. They are characters in a story imbued with symbolic weight. This suggests a cognitive leap where survival-driven acts were elevated into expressions of culture and meaning, blurring the lines between necessity and art. This discovery in Sulawesi is not an isolated marvel. Across continents, prehistoric art reveals a universal drive to create, communicate, and connect. In Bulgaria's Magura cave, the walls pulse with life, adorned with vivid depictions of deer, goats, and long-extinct creatures like the woolly rhinoceros. These images painted in bold reds, blacks, and whites are not mere sketches, but masterpieces of observation. The artists captured the animals' proportions, movements, and even their essence with meticulous strokes. A deer's antlers curve with grace. A rhinoceros charges with palpable energy. These works are both artistic triumphs and historical records documenting the Ice Age fauna that shared the world with early humans. More than that, they hint at the spiritual significance of these creatures, likely revered as totems or forces in rituals that sought to honor or harness their power. The Magura cave stands as a cathedral of prehistoric thought, where art was a bridge between the physical and the divine. In Spain, the caves of La Parca have upended long-held beliefs about Neanderthals, once dismissed as brute cousins incapable of complex thought. Paintings dated to over 64,000 years ago, long before Homo sapiens reached Europe, reveal deliberate shapes, lines, and figures. A ladder-like symbol, a series of dots, a cluster of abstract marks. These are not random scribbles, but evidence of a mind capable of abstraction and cultural transmission. Neanderthals, it seems, were not just surviving, but creating, leaving behind symbols that carried meaning across generations. This discovery forces us to rethink the evolutionary arc of intelligence, suggesting that creativity and symbolic thought were not exclusive to our species, but part of a broader human heritage. The La Parca findings ripple outward, prompting questions about how Neanderthals lived, what they believed, and how they communicated their inner worlds. Further west, France's Chauvet Cave offers a breathtaking gallery of Ice Age artistry. Its walls are alive with lions, mammoths, and horses depicted with such dynamism that they seem to leap from the stone. The artists used multiple limbs and varied postures to suggest motion, an early form of animation that captures the vitality of these creatures. A lion's snarl, a mammoth's lumbering stride, a horse's gallop, each figure pulses with energy, as if the artist sought to trap the spirit of the animal within the rock. This sophistication points to more than technical skill. It suggests a worldview where animals were not just resources but sacred beings central to rituals or cosmological beliefs. The Chauvet artists were not merely recording their environment but engaging with it on a spiritual level, weaving stories that connected their communities to the unseen forces of the world. In Argentina's Cave of Hands, the art takes a deeply personal turn. Thousands of handprints created 9,300 years ago by blowing pigment over outstretched fingers form a gallery of negative space. These stencils, often paired with hunting scenes, are not individual marks, but collective statements. They speak of presence, belonging, and identity, as if entire communities pressed their hands to the rock to say, "We were here." The technique itself, using breath and pigment to create a silhouette, reveals a mastery of method and a desire for permanence in a transient world. These handprints may have served as territorial markers, spiritual invocations, or symbols of group cohesion, binding individuals into a shared narrative. The Cave of Hands is a reminder that prehistoric art was not solitary but communal, a way for groups to assert their place in the cosmos. India's Bhimbetka rock shelters offer an even broader canvas chronicling humanity's artistic evolution over tens of thousands of years. From early depictions of animals and hunts to later abstract symbols and geometric patterns, these paintings trace the arc of human cognition. The earliest images are raw and visceral: a boar charging, a hunter poised with a spear. Over time, the art grows more complex with spirals, zigzags, and grids suggesting a shift toward abstraction, and perhaps even early forms of writing or numerical notation. The shelters themselves were more than homes. They were cultural hubs where stories were told, rituals performed, and knowledge passed down. The art was a living archive, a visual language that preserved the values, beliefs, and histories of countless generations. In Brazil's Serra da Capivara National Park, over 30,000 rock paintings stretch back nearly 20,000 years, offering a window into a world of profound philosophical depth. One striking image depicts a figure gazing skyward, arms outstretched as if contemplating the stars. This suggests an early fascination with astronomy, a desire to understand the cosmos and humanity's place within it. Other paintings show hunts, dances, and family gatherings, but also abstract forms that hint at metaphysical concerns, relationships with the seasons, the skies, or unseen forces. These works are not just records of daily life, but reflections on existence itself, revealing a people who saw themselves as part of a larger cosmic narrative. Portable art adds yet another dimension to this story. Engraved stones found in places like the Negev Hills are small but intricate, marked with motifs that echo those on cave walls. These artifacts were not static but mobile, carried by nomadic peoples as part of a cultural toolkit. Their presence across vast distances, Africa, Europe, Asia, suggests a shared symbolic language, a network of ideas that connected disparate communities. A spiral in one region, a zigzag in another. These recurring patterns hint at trade routes, migrations, or shared beliefs that bound early humans together. These portable pieces allowed art to travel, carrying stories and identities across the landscape and reinforcing the interconnectedness of ancient societies. The spiritual dimensions of prehistoric art are particularly striking. Many cave paintings are found in deep, inaccessible chambers far from natural light, suggesting that the act of creation was itself a sacred ritual. Crawling into the earth to paint a bison or a shamanic figure may have been a rite of passage, a way to commune with ancestors, spirits, or deities. Recurring motifs, exaggerated animal features, handprints and patterns, abstract symbols like dots and spirals point to shared mythologies or cosmologies. Animals in particular held immense significance. Bison, mammoths, and lions were not just hunted, but revered, possibly as embodiments of strength, fertility, or transformation. Some anthropologists suggest these paintings were part of hunting magic, rituals to ensure a successful hunt by capturing the animal's spirit in art. Others see them as expressions of a worldview where humans and animals were cosmically linked, their fates intertwined in a delicate balance. The presence of therianthropes, half-human, half-animal figures further deepens this mystery. Found in caves from Europe to Africa, these beings may represent shamans in trance, deities, or mythological creatures from lost oral traditions. Their depiction suggests a belief in fluid boundaries between the human and the animal, the physical and the metaphysical. A figure with a human body and a lion's head, for instance, might symbolize a shaman's journey into the spirit world, or a god that bridged realms. These images, painted with care and intention, reveal a worldview where the visible and invisible were in constant dialogue, mediated by art. The technical mastery of prehistoric artists is equally remarkable. In France's Lascaux cave, often called the Sistine Chapel of prehistory, the paintings demonstrate an understanding of perspective, proportion, and movement that rivals modern art. A horse's legs blur to suggest speed. A bison's horns curve with lifelike precision. The artists used the natural contours of the cave walls to enhance their work, making figures appear three-dimensional. They mixed pigments from ochre, charcoal, and minerals, creating a palette that has endured millennia. In some cases, they used scaffolding or climbed perilous heights to reach high cave ceilings, underscoring their dedication to their craft. This was not art for art's sake, but a purposeful act imbued with cultural and spiritual weight. Preservation efforts have become critical as these fragile treasures face threats from climate change, tourism, and vandalism. In Lascaux, for example, access is tightly restricted to protect the 17,000-year-old paintings from deterioration. A detailed replica allows visitors to experience the art's beauty without endangering the originals. Similarly, Spain's El Castillo cave with its 40,000-year-old red discs and handprints is carefully monitored to preserve its delicate surfaces. These efforts ensure that future generations can witness the artistry and insight of our ancestors, whose work continues to resonate across time. The global scope of these discoveries, from Sulawesi's hunting scenes to Argentina's handprints, from India's evolving symbols to Brazil's celestial contemplations, reveals a shared human impulse to create and communicate. These works are not relics of a silent past, but voices that echo across millennia. They show early humans and Neanderthals as thinkers, dreamers, and storytellers whose art was a fundamental expression of identity and meaning. Each painting. They remind us that the drive to make sense of the world through symbolism is as old as humanity itself, a thread that connects us to those who painted on cave walls and carved stones under ancient skies. These discoveries also highlight the emergence of the symbolic mind, a pivotal moment in human evolution, when early artists chose to depict a bison not as it stood, but as it moved. They were shaping perception into a shared cultural experience. This act of representation, of turning instinct into intentional meaning, marks a leap in cognitive ability, suggesting the presence of language, abstract thought, and complex social structures. The art is not just beautiful. It is a record of humanity's awakening, a testament to our ancestors' ability to imagine, create, and connect across generations and continents. As researchers uncover new sites and decode their meanings, the story of prehistoric art grows ever richer. Each image, whether a hunter's silhouette or a spiral etched in stone, is a declaration of existence, a bridge between past and present. These ancient creations are not just archaeological data, but living stories, reflections of a world where art was not a luxury, but a necessity, a way to navigate the mysteries of life, death, and the cosmos. They invite us to listen, to imagine, and to marvel at the enduring spirit of those who came before, whose voices still speak through time.